No.
I'm just asking. You look at me like, are you crazy?
Okay. Whenever you ask me, I'm like, do I
I
have to talk?
have
Something I need to talk.
No, it's just that most everybody. Okay, so we have been talking about today a lot about mindfulness. Sati is what it's called. So this is probably one of the most, well, it is one of the most important things. Oh, yay. All right, we need another chair.
Okay, where can I get it?
I think Donna's getting it.
Okay. She's right.
All right, so we got two more coming in.
Oh, I can get it.
Hey.
Hello. Is she getting one?
Yeah. There's one here. We just need one chair.
Okay.
Well, probably easier. I don't know that time.
So,
I'm camera shy. You can be on the camera. You come sit at that one.
No, it's all right.
oh, come on, y'all. So I brought some Galamay. We're going to start with that. Here you go.
What is the
Galamay. This is something that I learned in Thailand how to make. They make it once a year. And it's kind of like a caramel. So, yeah. It's sure. And it's made out of coconut sugar and coconut milk. It's kind of chewy like caramel is. Chewy, gooey.
Kind of mochi.
Like mochi, yeah. But I know that you guys have probably never tried it before because they make it in Thailand. So here, you're gonna need it. Yeah, it's gooey mooey. So we started talking about mindfulness, sati. So I'm gonna say that whenever you are in suffering, you have not been paying attention. Okay? You have not been paying attention to your thoughts and they got away from you. And then you pulled them in and attached to them and played with them and created a whole story around a thought that you didn't even know you had. That's what happens. So you have to look at you don't have to, but in order to have sati and peacefulness inside yourself, look at your thoughts as just a thought. Not you. They're not you. Okay? Your thoughts are not you. They're just a thought. Although you're the one thinking them. So it gets a little confusing. Okay? But they're just a thought. They're not real. Most of the time, it's either happened and it's not happening right now, or you're thinking it's going to happen, but it's never happened. Okay? So, and those are two lies that we tell ourselves. And I'm going to say it's a lie. Because you, in your mind, you're telling yourself a story that isn't real. It's either already happened a long time ago, you're bringing it back, and it can't be the same. It will never be that moment in time again, ever. So it's already done. Let it go. Don't grab it and bring it into the future. You've already suffered over it once when it happened. Don't do it again. Just let it go. Let it be. Let it flow down that river, right? Because it will make you suffer again if you allow it to. So that's why sati, mindfulness, is so important. Mindfulness is not clearing your mind of thoughts, okay? That's not what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is knowing your thoughts, understanding what is in your mind. Now, you don't have to know every single thought you have. That will make you crazy, right? Oh, my hand's moving. When we do that, look, we do that in meditation, in a meditation class, and it's over exaggerated so that you can become familiar with the understanding of what it means to have sati. Okay? But in day-to-day life, you just need to know those thoughts that are coming in that are going to create suffering. And there's plenty of those, right? There's plenty. So you don't have to like make it up, because there's plenty of them there for you to work with. This is true. So just work with what you have. You'll have a thought of something that happened before, or something that you're making up that hasn't happened. And I'm going to say you're making up because that's the truth, right? I'm going to speak truth in this class because I want you to grow. Am I attached to your growth? No. If I was attached, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd be like, no, they're not getting it, I'm out, right? But I love you guys, and I want to help you get to the point where you're not suffering. So in order to do that, you have to remember to know what you're thinking. Is it a truth? What does that mean? Is it a truth? That means, is it real? Is it actually happening right now? And if the answer to that is no, then you know you need to let that thought go and bring in something that's going to help you, not harm you, right? Because that's what we're doing. We're harming ourselves every time we go through suffering. It's harming. It's a form of hurting ourselves. That's what it is, actually. And I used to do it, so I know it well. It's how I know when you guys are in suffering, because I used to be there all the time. But I'm not there. I'm not there because I practice what I'm speaking. See? No one can do it for you. I can only tell you what I do so I don't suffer. I can tell you what the Buddha did so he didn't suffer. I can tell you what a lot of people do, but nobody can do it for you. You have to do this yourself. And it takes effort. It's not for the weak. It takes a lot of effort, right? But the thing that you need to understand is that you're giving an effort to one or the other, right? Mm-hmm. The suffering makes you suffer. You're sad, you're depressed, you're angry, you're resentful. All these things are suffering, right? Those are all suffering. Or extremely happy is going to make you suffer too. If you go the other way and get all crazy on the happy train, it's going to come down too, right? So you need to find your balance. In order to do that, you have to know your thoughts. This is a step-by-step. We've been over it many times, but we're doing it again because we need it again, right? This is true. Be kind to yourself. Being kind to yourself means following what you know works. Now, every single person in this room, I know, has had it work for them at some point in time. Mm-hmm. I know that to be true because I've witnessed it, right? So I hear, sometimes I just don't want to do it, right? I hear that. That means sometimes I just want to suffer. That's what that means. Sometimes I want to be mean to myself and make myself suffer. So whenever you say, sometimes I don't want to do it, that's what you're saying to yourself, right? But that's not kindness to yourself. And the only way to find this balance, this peace that everybody's searching for, is to do it over and over. Practice it over and over and over again. I do it every single day of my life. Every day of my life. Why? Well, because I teach a lot of people, right? And if I'm not doing it inside me, how can I possibly tell anybody else about it, right? I have to do it for me. I have to do it inside me. And the great teachers actually do it, and they don't have to speak a lot, right? Because they're showing them how to do it. Showing them. You know, somebody might ask them a question, they may not even answer, right? They may not answer. They just do what they're doing. They're showing them how. Now, the person who's not paying attention will be like, I asked him a question. He didn't answer me. He did answer. He just didn't speak it with his words. He showed you with his actions. I try to do this on a daily basis, right? Because I cannot speak what I don't live. And I would love, like, I was talking to my brother. He called me. And I said, I don't do this because I think something's going to happen. I do it because if one person that I teach, one person figures it out and is in peace, it's worth my time to do. It's worth it to me. If one person out of 1 million people get it, it's worth my time to do it. Because that's how grand this is. That's how peaceful. And I can't explain, right? It's hard to put into words what balance does for you in your life. But it will create things in your life that you cannot even imagine, really. It has done it in my life, so I know it to be true. You know, some other things I'm like, oh my God, you know, I'm in Pittsburgh in the winter. You know, you're talking to a girl who loves Thailand. I'm in Pittsburgh in the winter. But that's okay. Because that's where I need to be right now. Right? Every place I go, I look at through the eyes of loving kindness. Right? Everywhere. This is how it works. And I was taught by someone who couldn't speak English, right? But he showed me with his actions. That's okay. Showed me with his actions. Beautiful. I learned a lot from him. Not one word of English did he speak, except for yeah. Right? But what a beautiful teacher, right? You know, y'all met him, you know. Right? Mm-hmm. This is how it works because he has mindfulness. He doesn't have to speak. Doesn't have to speak. He doesn't speak a lot. Nitnoy, a little bit. That's it. Because he's a man of few words. But he lives it inside himself. Right? This is us. This is how we need to be every day, every day, every day. We lose it because we go into the normal life, right? The life that everybody that is unconscious lives, right? I mean, really, that's what happens. Everybody's walking around unconscious. They do things. They don't even know they're doing them. This is truth. And then you'll say to them, did you know that this blah, blah, blah? No, it didn't. Really? That happened? Well, you were sitting right there. But we're unconscious because we're absorbed in our thoughts and don't even know what we're thinking. Wow. Think about that now, right? We're all caught up in a story we got going on in our mind and have no idea what's happening in the real world. This happens on a daily basis to millions of people.
It's funny because I feel like I live, I don't listen to the news. I'm not part of people's chaos. If that's your chaos, then, enjoy it, kind of thing.
Right.
And I was like, I don't live in the real world, but maybe I live in the real world and they don't.
Right. I mean, honestly, they have no idea what's happening. None. In the now. Because they're caught up in their mind and they don't know what they're thinking. This is a big deal. Sati is a big deal. Mindfulness Big
I
deal.
don't know that people are caught up in their head. I was thinking about this.
Mhm.
You know, for me, sometimes I'm so overwhelmed by everything that's going on that I don't see anything.
But what are your thoughts?
It's not even that I'm really having thoughts. Like I hyper focus
Mm-hmm.
on a specific task just because everything else is too much.
Mhm.
Like today,
Mhm.
right before I came here,
Mhm.
somehow I got onto painting and caulking. Why? I have no idea.
Okay, let's stop right there. Wait a minute. Let's stop right there. You don't know how you got into caulking.
Well, I
and
do
painting.
know how I got there. So we bought a new light and we were fixing something. Well, those items happened to be out. So instead of going back to what I needed to,
Mhm.
I was like, well, I don't want to do those. So I just started focusing on everything else because all of that was overwhelming. This was a task that I know I could handle that was very comprehensive to me. So I stuck with the one that I knew was easy. And I think that sometimes it's not even that it's the thoughts, it's that we choose. I know I am choosing the easier path because the rest of it seems overwhelming.
Okay. So I'm going to say that when you speak truth inside of yourself. So what would happen if you just stopped at that moment and said, oh, this is just way too much for me right
I did in a way. I just started doing
now?
something
No,
that
you
made
didn't.
sense.
No, you didn't. No, you did not. You did something else. You did something else. Who was with you? Your husband?
I mean, he was there, but he wasn't telling me what to do or anything.
Okay, I'm not saying he was telling you what to
he's
do.
present.
You did not speak, this is just too overwhelming for me right now. So you held your truth inside yourself. You had a conversation in your mind, and you can say I'm wrong if you want to, but I know I'm not. But you can say that, and you can believe that inside of you. But I'm trying to show you how the mind works. And it's not just your mind, it's straight across the board, everybody's mind. See, you had a conversation in your mind before you started to do the other thing. You had a conversation with yourself. And you said, oh, this is just way overwhelming for me. I can't handle this. This is you inside your own mind. But you didn't speak that out to anyone other than yourself. And then you just left
Doesn't
it.
matter to anybody else.
Then you just left it, right?
Yeah.
And then you started doing something else. But you're still overwhelmed over leaving it or not leaving it. You're still overwhelmed because you brought it up. It's still in your mind. You're still having issues inside yourself with that very thing. And so in your mind, you're still talking inside yourself. This is how it works. If you can get this, you can fix it. You have to know your thoughts. And you were overwhelmed. So put the stuff down and don't do it. You have many options. But inside of you, you got aggravated and frustrated and many emotions in there. No?
I wasn't really aggravated or frustrated. I just looked at it like, well, that's overwhelming. I don't think I'm going to do that right now. And moved on.
Michelle?
It's still there, and I know I have to do it. I wasn't really frustrated with it. I just didn't want to do it.
Okay. What do you want?
I didn't want to do it.
What do you want? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you. What do you want?
To show self-care.
How did you do that?
Well, I didn't do it either way. Doing the other tasks didn't show myself self-care. And not doing the task didn't show my self-care. So I chose neither. So I chose not. I didn't choose myself. I just chose continuing.
So I'm going to say there's a habit that happens inside of you.
And this is it.
Yes, because you don't speak truth inside yourself. You sugarcoat things and you make it seem like it's not what it is. Okay? And then you go into a spiral where it creates some stuff inside of you. Then you got to figure out how to get rid of that stuff. Well, I'm telling you right now, you can just get rid of it. You don't have to go through all of that. You can just speak your truth. And I mean truth. Don't sugarcoat anything for yourself because it doesn't help you. It only makes it seem like, oh, it's not quite that bad. But in reality, you got stuff going on inside and you don't even want to say it because it's bothering you. And this is truth. This is, I know this is truth because it happens not just to you. It happens to everybody sitting at this table. Happens to everybody out there. Because that is this world that we live in. And we're taught from the time we're little babies to do that. To make things look like, oh, it's okay. And so that you can feel better about yourself. Okay? But you don't need to feel bad about yourself because I know that you're a beautiful soul. You just don't know it. But I know it. And when I speak to you and tell you certain things, I'm speaking from my heart to your heart. And sometimes it makes your heart go, right? Don't you say that, right? Then you're like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Everybody, Donna hasn't yet, but everybody else at this table has, because I love you guys enough to speak complete truth to you. Complete truth to you so that you can fix yourself. And I want to be clear, I'm not fixing you. You are fixing yourself. I'm throwing tools at you. Here, try this one, try this one, try this one. You take it. If it works for you, good. If it doesn't, don't use it, right? That's the truth of it. I have witnessed each one of you go through transformations inside yourself, right? And then I've witnessed you go, oh, I suck, right? I've witnessed all of that. But me witnessing you going, boop, and have, even if it's for a short period of time, right? It tells me you can do it. And it should tell you, you can do it too, right? Mm-hmm. Even if it's just a short 5-minute span, right? Usually it lasts longer than 5 minutes. It might be a day or two or something like that. But even if it doesn't matter how long, you can do it because you did it. That's it. So we have things that we tell ourselves inside. And it's not nice most of the time. Right.
For me, it comes back to the fact I tell myself the lies and stuff because there's lack of love of myself at times. And you think that you love yourself, and then there's situations that I choose to go into that suffering, and that is because for some reason I don't love myself to say, no, I don't deserve to be in that suffering.
Right. Yes.
And and some people blame God and some people blame for different things, but it's the thing it's us because we are the God inside of ourselves.
Yes.
And so if that's what the anger is, it's that wrestling with ourselves.
Yes.
I know for me, when I go into my suffering, it's like, I know I don't love myself. So then I just sit there and I'm like, well, I don't want to lie to myself and say that I do because I know that I don't. And I'm sitting there,
but that's an improvement.
and I know
it's really.
I don't in the moment, and I'm like, I don't want to put in the effort right now. And it's like I don't want to be malicious, but I don't want to be insincere, so I just kind of sit there, and I'm like,
You just do it, yeah.
and I'm like, I'm just,
So I'm going to show you guys this, which I saw on Facebook today. The caption reads, when you finally catch the MFer that's been holding you down. Okay?
yeah.
It's a little kid, right? With a boot on his face. But the next picture is him with his hand inside the boot on his face. He's the one holding himself down. And that is a truth. That this could not be any truer. We are the ones that are putting our foot on our own face and squashing ourselves down when it's not necessary. But we think, oh, see, it's really very, I don't even know how to say it, because we've been taught this when we were young, our entire life. Everybody has. They were never taught the truth about themselves, that everybody's a beautiful soul. We're all the same inside, all the same. And people say that, but they don't mean it inside. Like they speak it, they know it. Yeah, I heard that, But really to know it, if you could like take your bodies, everything away, and just feel inside your heart. Feel love inside your heart. Think of something or someone that you love the most. And you feel that. You feel it inside. And then you turn it in towards yourself and you feel that for yourself. It's hard. It's a hard concept to get, that we need to love ourselves. But we're all the same. We're all that inside. Even the monks, even the nuns, everybody in this world, they're all the same. They all have doubts about themselves. They all question things. Until you get balance inside. And once you get that balance inside, you know things inside. Like loving kindness. Like what brings joy inside your heart, right? Is loving kindness. That's what it is. It can fix the hardest problems. And I know, because I've dealt with a lot of hard problems, but it can flip that script like that. But you have to have it inside of you in order for that to happen. And you do have it inside, but you have to know it. And you don't know it. Everybody is so unkind to their self. And I mean, when I say unkind, that means you're talking to yourself in not a nice way in your mind. Doesn't mean you're talking outside like that. Oh, you might be all good outside, everything's all good. But inside, you're having a conversation that's not so nice to yourself. And this is the person that you need to be kind to, because you're the one that's going to be with you forever. Nobody else. Nobody else. Sounds crazy, right? But it's true. Everybody leaves. They die. They go somewhere else. Everybody. There's no one on this earth that is going to live forever in permanence. But your soul does. And so that's what you have to cultivate. Right? And it's not easy, because we've been mean to ourselves all our life. So it's like, retraining your mind. That's why effort is so important, because you have to do it on a daily basis. A lot of you, when you first started coming to me, I had you do the Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you, to yourself. Why did I do that? I was teaching you to be kind to yourself. And at first, when you say it, I remember Kathy going, I don't even know why I'm saying I'm sorry to myself. But you know now, don't you? It took a little bit of time.
It's a lifetime ago.
Yeah. It took a little time for your soul to hear you. Look, there's some monks that's taken 30 years or more. Don't feel bad. I'm just trying to put you on the fast track. But if you don't want to go on the fast track, it's okay. Go at your pace. But I'm saying do it and be kind. Be kind to yourself. Be loving to yourself. And this is a hard one. But if you get it, you get it. But it is a hard one. Because, oh, it's okay. You can leave it, no problem. But it's a hard one because we've been taught the opposite our entire life. And sometimes when I speak to you and I tell you about things, it's like you think I'm being mean. I'm really not being mean. I'm just being truthful, and I'm trying to help you see the truth inside yourself. Because we tell ourselves stories, and then we believe those stories. Even though they're not true, we believe them like they're really true, but they're not. And so the more we are conscious that we're telling ourselves a story, the quicker we can stop telling ourselves a story. But you have to know it. You have to say, oh, that was straight up telling myself a lie. Right?
Yeah.
And then the more you say, oh, no, that wasn't a truth, you're practicing. You're practicing at being truthful to yourself. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Who cares? They're not living inside of you. You are. So you have to practice at this. I'm not saying be rude to other people. I'm just saying that you got to do you. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. You got to do you. If I worried about what other people thought, I'd never be doing what I'm doing.
But to not be able to care what other people are saying takes you have to love yourself.
Yes.
And that it's taken me, time to understand that.
Yes.
So that it doesn't matter if you get upset with me or you get upset with me. It's because it's me.
Yes.
I'm also learning that it's not like, oh, I love myself now. I don't have to care. I don't care where it goes. It's like it's an act of like, okay, I'm going to like advocate for myself, and in doing that, I'm loving myself and taking care of myself. And in doing that, I'm learning to not put value on other people's opinions.
Yeah.
So it's like, because I always thought I'm like, okay, once I love myself, then I can do this, and it's like, oh, it's all in.
Yes.
It's
all
So what I'm learning is that I am me and you are there. We're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's beyond the words that we're all the same.
Yes.
It's the human, that energy, that light, that love, and so like, people, there's a few people in my past that y'all have known that I struggle with, like the one girl at work, right? That always with a nemesis of, stumbling. So, and my mom.
Mm-hmm.
The more I love myself, the more that I love them.
Yes.
It's not like I love you, but it's like, oh, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
I see, and I'm not trying to change you or do you or anything, and I don't even really, but I can see now.
Yes.
It's like I see the truth of why you were that for me.
Yes. And it takes a while, and it takes everyday practice. When I say practice, I mean practice at being kind to yourself. And I also want to say that it seems overwhelming. It seems like a lot, and it's hard, but it's really not. Because the way this is that once you do one thing, right, the next thing follows it. it follows it. Like once you have mindfulness and you know what your thoughts are, right? And you know what they are right here, right now. Then the next thing that follows is comprehension of what those thoughts will do. And it's automatic. Like once you start practicing and knowing your thoughts, what am I thinking? Oh, okay. Last time I had that thought, it took me down this path and I didn't like that path, right? So that's not a true thought because I know it's not true because I've already been down that path, right? So it automatically, then you start recognizing, you start seeing, you're like, oh, okay.
So today there were certain things. Today was big deadline days and things that I know, and the universe had everything had laid out very, just like beautiful. Except I couldn't get a damn PDF file to sign. Okay. And I tried it through, 4 different programs and all, and I'm going, I see how beautiful this laid out. I know that it's good and what it's supposed to do, except this major last step that is really nothing. I was like, and I could feel the frustration. Well, then I was like, so what are you doing to yourself? It's 7:00 in the morning. You don't really need to sign this till midnight tonight, right? Let it go. See what happens. And so, I saw myself becoming suffering. And,
Yes.
and then that my stomach started to hurt. I went to the bathroom 3 times. I was like, all of those
Right.
nerves.
Right.
But knowing it was just a piece of paper I couldn't sign, and it really didn't matter.
Right.
And so it negated all this beauty.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's what happened.
And you're
Yeah.
like, okay, but and so I didn't suffer. And then as soon as I decided I wasn't going to suffer over it anymore, it signed, it was like,
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
happened.
that's what
But it's a
happened.
teaching. See,
oh yeah, it was
it
beautiful
taught you,
teaching.
and it happens all the time if we're paying attention. You're being taught anything that is an obstacle is a lesson. It's teaching you. It's big. It's huge. You're being given a gift. We think it as a negative. Oh, I'm a failure. I had to go through this again. No, you are learning. Pay attention. It's teaching you. And the lessons that you will learn are beautiful. I was talking about that today because, when I was in Thailand and I came back, there were some things that happened that were a little, but then it taught me so much. It taught me not only me, but Vanessa was there, it taught her, it taught, one of the monks, it taught everybody learned from that. And it was so beautiful. But if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it just like that. It'll be gone. And you don't get the lesson. You have to wait till next time. It'll come back though.
And it
Don't
comes
worry.
back. Because I feel like for me, and what we were just talking about earlier today with like the wedding and bridesmaids and all that stuff, it's like, I've been here before with this friend already.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I'm like,
And
I'm like, oh, is this number 3?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to get nervous or fearful, but I know I have to do it. No,
Yeah.
anything like that. But I'm like, oh. Then I try, like my mind's always like, well, you didn't learn the first time, that's on you. Like, and I'm like, okay, don't mean, like it's okay, like let that go.
What I hear your voice a lot say, let it go, let it be.
Yes,
Mhm.
let it
be.
go, let it be. Because that is the key. You have to let it go.
And
You know?
as soon as you do, just like you said, whatever it was, like I had it with my glasses.
Yeah.
I was like the same thing. I was like, oh, they were like, my glasses broke, and I'm like I was upset because the truth was I overpaid for them before, and I was upset at myself for overpaying before. Was like, oh, so that was in the back of my mind. And then they broke, and then I'm like, oh, blah, blah. So I went through a whole thing. And then finally I was just like, okay, whatever. And then like seconds later, the phone rang and she called and said, oh, we have the replacement and we'll let you know when it's ready.
All the time it happens. Because when you're attached to an outcome, you're going to create suffering inside.
I know, like, I try to let things go, but I also feel as though I fall into the trap, like, okay, I've let it go in my mind, and then not actually changing, like, not
Right.
actually doing
Yeah,
something.
you don't actually let
It's
it
like,
go.
Yeah, I'm
you
like,
still
okay,
like,
I let it go.
I
and
still
then I'm
got a
like,
little string holding on right here,
Yeah.
but
I think that
I let it go. But
it's like I
Yes.
said I said the truth, but I didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
It's like I've got to make sure I'm putting
some
I
people
do that all the
do.
time.
That
Putting
was
the
a
action
good word there, yeah.
Yeah.
action
With doing it.
Mhm.
and then also not obsessing and micro analyzing
Yes.
the action that has to go with said truth.
Yeah,
Because
I'm
like,
gonna.
even just sitting here, I'm like, okay, so what am I gonna say? Because I'm gonna have to say something.
But you know what? I'm gonna say this: if you do a little meditation and just stop trying to control it. It will just flow, and it will flow perfectly. But you're trying to control an outcome.
Yeah, I'm trying to like
Yes.
damage control something that hasn't happened.
Yes. And you're fearful of an outcome.
I am, yeah, and I don't like confrontation because I associate
It doesn't
with
I
have-
don't know that there's a
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. So the habits I have are very like I have to protect myself from being hurt. So then I'm like, what are the avenues in which I can make sure I don't
You
get
can't.
hurt?
Okay, you can't. And you spend, because what you're doing is hurting yourself. So right now you're spending time hurting yourself. So you're already hurt.
Because you got the knot in your stomach, you got.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you're doing it to yourself.
And then calling it protecting myself. But
Yes.
hurting myself.
Sounds
But-
familiar.
Yes, but all you really have to do is let it go, let it be. And when the situation arises, and it will, you just be like, okay, this is a situation that was supposed to arise. Now I'm going to speak my truth. That's it. Because once you speak your truth, truth is truth. You're not being mean. You're not being nasty. Make sure you don't have emotions in it. Because your emotions are not a truth.
Yeah.
So you speak it just like this is the truth. I speak the truth all the time to you guys. Even when most of the time you don't want to hear it, right? Because you want to stay in that. Like you're not necessarily, you don't really want to stay in it, but you don't want to hear the truth either. So there's a little turmoil there because you're like, I don't want to feel like this, but I don't want to hear what Kim's going to say. So I don't.
Because we know that the truth is going to cause, it doesn't have to, and this is the lesson I'm learning. It's going to make change. And in my mind, change is going to be uncomfortable. But
And
what
what-
is comfort?
What did I say before? I said get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
And that's exactly, because I go back to the Ruby Tuesdays in Pennsylvania, right? We had a little conflict there. And, it was like, I just don't want to hear anymore. And so I didn't hear anymore, right?
Right, that's right.
Because I verbalized that.
Yes. Yes. And a lot of people in this room have done the same and felt the
And it
same.
was, but
In
it was-
Pennsylvania, I did.
but what was it that I didn't want to hear? It's that I didn't want to hear anything. I just wanted to be. And I'm finding those are my patterns, right?
Mhm.
That doesn't necessarily, and you want me to do the fast track. That's you like, get through the suffering, Catherine. Let it go, let it go. And I'm going,
No, I want to keep it.
I'll let it go. It's time, it's, I want to do it this way. You want like, and so, and it's like, that was what it was, right?
Yes.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Vanessa said she just watched Master Tom Mike's last talk. And he was yelling at, not really yell, he doesn't yell, but he was talking sternly. And he did that one time when we were there, and he apologized to us. And he said, I don't want you to think I was mad. I'm not mad. It's just, some of these have been here 30 years. When are they going to get it? He's like, I want them to understand what, and that's the hardest thing with the teacher is wanting them, you want everybody to have peace, but you have no control over it. You have none. And so you have to watch as they, and this happens straight across the board with everybody, as they, are good, and then bad. Oh, good. Oh, and so it's and I'm like, oh, and in my heart, I'm like, oh, they're hurting themselves again. No, you don't have to do that now. You know how not to do that, right? That's in my mind. I'm saying that, and I'm sure that's what he's saying too. You know how you've got the tools. Don't do that. Don't hurt yourself like that. Here, use one of these. But
Not what I heard.
no, it's not what you heard. No,
I mean, that's my heart and your heart.
Yes.
You were doing it out of love, and I was like, I don't want love now. I don't want anything.
Yeah,
Now.
I just
I
want-
want to be.
yes, and so I do. I let her be, right?
Mhm.
There was no reason to speak anymore because anything I spoke, she wouldn't hear. There comes a point where you see that they got to glaze over. They don't want to hear it anymore, right? They can't do it anymore. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason we try to do it is not for ourselves. Trust me, if it was for me, I wouldn't be sitting here right now, right? I mean, that's the truth. Because I just flew in from Pittsburgh, and I came here. Then I got to go back to DC and fly to Florida tomorrow. So I'm here for one night. What am I doing one night? Having meditation class. That's how important it is. That's how important it is. And if it's that important to me, surely it should be that important to you, right? And so that's as teachers, that's our mindset. We're doing it. We're doing everything we're telling you to do. Plus, we're trying to help you do it, right? So the effort has to come from you too. And it has to be on a consistent, you can't do like a little effort here and a little effort there. It doesn't work like that. You have to be on a daily doing it, reminding yourself, what am I thinking? Like, that's why I ask everybody. I've asked everybody in this room, what are you thinking? A lot of times I'll get, I don't know. Right? That's not an answer I like to hear. Because that means you're not practicing if you don't know what you're thinking. Right? You're not practicing. Practicing means you're aware of your thoughts, even if they're ones you don't want to know about. Okay? You're still aware that they're there. That thought right there. So you have to get out of your own self and watch the thoughts. That's a thought that created this, right? Because every thought is creating something. If you attach to it, bring it in, it's going to create something. And it'll create good or bad, up to you. Depends on the thought. But it's going to create something. If you attach to it, bring it in and let it. So knowing that, you know that you're in control of everything that is happening and has happened in your life, even if you didn't know you were in control of it. And this is a fact.
See that woman again?
You are in control of everything that has happened or did happen or is happening in your life.
We're in control of it now.
Yes, you're
Not
in.
when it was necessarily happening.
No, it happened when it happened. You had a thought. And it created whatever it was that happened. I can go back in my lifetime, right? I did some crazy stuff in my life. I can go back and every single thing that happened to me in my life, I can tell you, oh, that thought created this right here. So whatever you're thinking, you're creating. If you attach to it and bring it in and marinate it and make a whole thing, you're creating. And it's going to be good or bad. It's up to you. I'm not saying you're creating all bad. I'm saying you're creating, because that's what happens with your thoughts. And the reason we've gone through life and had so much suffering is we were unaware that we were having thoughts. So it was just, we were having these thoughts. We're still the creator of it. We're still doing it. We're just unaware that we're doing it. Doesn't mean we're not doing it. We're still doing it. It's just that, I can say to somebody, what are you thinking? I don't know. Okay, if you don't know what you're thinking, you have no idea what you're creating in your life. And this is truth. But if you start paying attention to what you're thinking, then you'll know what you're creating in your life. There's a lot of stuff in my life that I created unaware, right? And I was like telling myself it was someone else who did it. It was someone else's fault.
Blame game.
That happened because so-and-so did this. And because they did this happened. No, that's not a truth. That's a story we told ourselves. The truth is we had a thought back here. And that thought came around and we took it in and said, oh yeah, okay. And then we started playing a scenario in our mind. Anna did it here tonight. Playing a scenario, right? In our mind. Well, then I'll say this, and then they'll say that, and then I'll say this. We have the whole thing played out in our mind. And it hasn't even happened. But we've just created something. And if it were good, if it were, kind and loving, oh, good. We created that in our life. But if it wasn't, that's what we created. So know that you're doing that, whatever it is, and you got to be responsible for it because it's true. You can't blame anybody else on your life because you made a choice each time, whatever happened. You're making choices. Everybody's making choices, and they're choosing them by the thoughts you have in your mind. And if you're not paying attention to those thoughts, who knows what's happening? But if you are paying attention, beautiful things come about. Sometimes what we think is beautiful isn't so beautiful. It's good as bad, what's bad is good. See? And the wanting, we want this, we want that, we want this, we want that. That'll create suffering. Right? Because every time you want something, if you don't get it, you're going to be upset. If you do get it, it's probably not what you wanted anyway. And then you're going to be upset because, this isn't the right thing. Right? I mean, that's how it works in the wanting game. I want. But you're looking outside yourself. So you're wanting for something that you think is going to make you feel better. Nope, not going to do it. The only thing that's going to make you feel better is being kind to yourself, loving to yourself. No one outside of you is going to make you feel better. It might, for a temporary moment, make you feel good for just a minute. But then the real world hits, right? And so the only way to be at peace and, in this balance is that you have to do it for yourself. And it's really easier than you think. It's just practicing. We've been really, I'm going to say brainwashed, into not thinking for ourselves, into blaming others for anything that has happened in our life. That's not a truth. It's really not a truth. And the only thing that happens when you blame something outside of you is that you become a victim. And the victims don't do anything. They stay a victim. I know I was a victim. I was one of those that, oh, well, it's not me, it's them. It's not my fault. It couldn't be me. It has to be them, or they did this to me, No, they didn't do it to me. Nobody can do anything to you unless you allow it. So the more you know your thoughts, I can't stress this enough, because we don't know our thoughts. We spend time in our mind not even knowing what we're thinking. This is true. And we might know that we're thinking something, but we're not telling ourselves the truth about what we're thinking. Or we would not be in suffering. Right? I know I've seen each one of you in peace, and I've seen each one of you in suffering. And the peace is just beautiful when you're there. I would like to see more of that if that's possible. But I'm going to say that if you just focus on, and don't overfocus. Don't, like I said, don't try to figure, okay, my hand's moving. Am I thinking about my hand moving? No, stop it. Just know when you have a thought come in, be aware. Oh, I don't think I want that one. I'm going to let that one go. Just aware of the thoughts that you're having. And then you'll begin to be able to, the more you practice at knowing your thoughts, because we're focused on, our hand moving, when we got thoughts running around our brain and we're making all kinds of scenarios about stuff. We're not aware of that, but we're aware that our hand's moving. No, don't worry about the hand. It can do that by itself. Okay. Worry about here. What's going on, what you're having, what conversations are you having inside your mind? That's what I mean by sati, by mindfulness. Know what conversation you're having in your mind. Is it one that you want to cultivate? Is it one that's going to bring you balance? Or is it one that's going to create suffering? Which one is it? And then you decide inside yourself, am I going to keep this one or am I going to let it go? You know what happened last time. You're fully aware, because this is not your first rodeo. This is not the first time you've gone through this cycle that you're in. It's not. Been there many times. Me too. And if you think that I have stopped doing all of that and I just have a free ride, you're wrong. I do it on a daily basis, minute by minute, every day of my life. Why? Because I like peace. I don't want to suffer anymore. That's why. I do it every day for myself, because I'm taking care of myself. That's why I do it. I do it every single day, all day long. The opposite is suffering, right? Every day, all day long. And many have gone through that. I went through it. I know I don't like that. I know I don't want to be there anymore. So I did the change up. I know it's not easy to comprehend and to do, but just try. That's all I'm saying. Just try. Don't tell yourself I can't do it. Yes, you can. You've done it. You've already done it many times. So you can do it. Don't tell yourself that lie. That is a lie that you tell yourself. Don't say that to yourself. And if you didn't want peace, you wouldn't be sitting at this table, right? You made an effort to get here. So that right there says that you do want it. So all you have to do is do these little steps, right? First, you got to be mindful about what you're thinking, because those are creating something, right? So that's why the Eightfold Path that we've been over many times, you have to have the right thought, the right action, the right view, the right life, right? These are all things that are just saying, okay, they're not just words. They're saying this is the step you have to take once you recognize the thought inside your mind. Is it the right view? Is it the right thought? Right? Then you have to take action. What am I going to do with it? These are all, it's step by step. But once you do one, the next one follows, right? Once you change your thought, Wayne Dyer used to say, change your thought, change your life. Truth. That's a truth. It all is in here. So once you start changing your thoughts, your life starts changing. When I say, what do you want? I asked Michelle today what she wanted. I mean, do you want peace or do you not want peace? And if you want peace, then here's the steps that I have taken personally inside myself to maintain peace in my life. And I do it no matter where I go. And I can tell you what happens. See, we have a fear that people will stop liking us when we do this. But the opposite occurs. The opposite occurs. It's crazy, but it's true. The opposite occurs. And people that were, not mean, but not, loving, become loving to you. That has personally happened to me, where they rarely ever said, I love you, as a family member, rarely ever said, I love you. Now they're saying it, and I'm going to miss you when you go to Thailand. And, this is what happens because I'm being true to myself. I'm being kind to myself. And when you're kind to yourself, it flows out to other people. But you can't give what you don't have inside. And if you're not, loving yourself inside and learning that, and it takes time to learn that. Don't be hard on yourself right now. It takes time to learn how to love yourself. Because we are taught the opposite. And that's the truth. We're not taught to love ourselves unconditionally just the way we are. No, go get a Botox injection or, whatever. Every even on Facebook, YouTube, whatever, they have commercials all the time, right? It's all about how you're not good enough. Here, take a pill for this and get an injection for that. Don't listen. They're lying to you. Love yourself inside. Be kind to yourself inside. And you have to practice that. Because you've practiced the opposite all your life. And so it's like when we ride a bike, first time we get on it, we fall because we don't know how to ride it. And probably the second time we fall. And then we're on it and we're a little shaky and we're going like this, we're shaking, and then we stop because we're afraid we're gonna fall, right? Y'all have done all of that, right? You've gone, you got shaky, you stopped because you're afraid, all of that. But you're learning. So just keep trying to learn it. Keep getting back on that bike and riding, and one day you can actually ride the bike. And then what happens when you learn how to ride a bike? What happens? You don't forget. You never forget how to ride a bike. Once you're, hey, I haven't ridden a bike for years. I'm in Thailand. I got on a bike and knew how to ride. You know what I'm like? You will never forget once you've got it. Okay? It doesn't go away. It's like riding a bike. You're just telling yourself right now things inside yourself that aren't true. But the truth is, you've done it before. Be patient. You're learning how to continue to do it, right? Like you might have rode the bike yesterday and gone, 5 feet and fell. Then you get up the next morning, you go out and you can't even figure out how to ride it. But you keep trying. It's the same thing. And I was telling Vanessa the other day, it's like we got a bucket of pennies, right? And we bend over and one of them drops out. Well, we dump the whole bucket out because we dropped one penny. That's what we do. We just give up on everything because one little thing happened. It's just one little thing. Let it go. Because don't pour out the whole bucket. Just let that penny go. You didn't need that penny. Right? And move forward. Go to the bank, cash the pennies in. Right? Have dollars. Grow. This is the process. You're growing. And it's growing pains. Oh, it's growing pain. Then we're like, I don't want to do it at all. Just forget it because it's too much. But that's another lie you tell yourself, right? That's another lie you tell yourself. Because it's not too much. It's just different than what you were doing before. But before, you were miserable. Before, you were suffering. Now, there's times when you're not suffering. It'll get more times when you're not suffering and more times when you're not suffering. Then you just keep going with it. And I'm telling you, your mind never stops, okay? It's not going to stop and then you're going to not, you just don't have any thoughts and you're good for the rest of your life. That's not a true statement. But what does happen is you begin to understand what you're thinking. You begin to have compassion and love and patience for yourself. And then you see things as they are instead of as a problem. Because it's not a problem. You're learning. That's beautiful. People pay good money to get an education, right? This is the greatest education you will ever get because it will make your life peaceful. No other education can you get that makes your life peaceful. In this, you're doing yourself, which gives you all the power. When you're a victim, you have no power. You're just a victim. You have no control over what's happening, and it's just happening to you. But when you take that power back, you have all control. Now, I don't mean you can say, okay, I want this water to be fire, and that's going to happen. No. What I'm saying is that you can change your life through changing your thoughts. And it happens, and it's beautiful when it happens. But only you can do it. I wish I could do it for you, and I've said that many a time, but I can't. Nobody did it for me. I had to work at it. But the more you work at it, the less you'll have to work at it. It will just come naturally. It'll just you'll just be able to just do it. Like you'll have a thought, you'll know what that thought is, and you'll let it go like that. It'll happen very, very quickly. Right now you're practicing. It's like learning another language, right? Like I try to learn this Pali. Whew, it's hard to learn. It's a lot, right? And before, when I first went to Wat Pa Damawat in Pittsburgh, when I first went there, I couldn't do one of these chants, and I had to do it by myself, right? because the monks do one part of it and the lay person does the other. I couldn't do that to save my life. I tried, and they did it with me. They were kind, right? They did it with me. Now I can. Now I can do the whole thing by myself. They don't even chant with me on that portion of it because I learned it. I could have said, no, I'm not going to learn it. I don't know how to do it. Forget it. But little by little, day by day, it might have took me 2 months, but I learned it, right? And so that's the way this is. Just little by little, but you got to give a little effort. You got to give the effort and do it little by little by little. And then one day you'll be like, oh my gosh, I can do that. I don't know. I can, I couldn't do that before. I can do that now. Right? Little by little. Don't give up on yourself because it's easy to just give up and then suffer. You're just in suffering and that's where you are. And I know that you guys don't want to stay in suffering. I know that. But you have to practice and you have to do it little by little. So it's already 8:09. So let's do a little meditation. Y'all want to do a meditation? You got time?
Mhm.
All right. So let's take a deep breath in and let it out. In and out. One more time. In and out. Relaxing our shoulders. Putting your hands in your lap. Just let your body be relaxed. Still breathing, breathing in, breathing out. If you have a thought, which you will, just know that it's a thought. It's just that. See it as a thought. Let it go. If you need to contemplate it, look at it. Is it a truth? You decide. You're the creator. Breathing in, breathing out. Try not to hold on to anything. Just letting yourself be. We're going to start breathing in, breathing out. At the top of your head, you're going to notice that you have hair growing in your head. Lots of it. And you're going to go down. There's a brain and a skull there. Going down into your eyes. Breathing in, breathing out. Relaxing your eyes. Relaxing your scalp. Relaxing your cheeks. Breathing in, breathing out. Relaxing your lips and your chin. Let everything just go. As you breathe in fresh, new. As you breathe out, you're letting go of all that you've been holding on to. Traveling down, you can feel your heartbeat. Breathing in, breathing out. As you breathe in, you can feel the air going into your lungs. Let it go. Breathing in, breathing out. Relaxing your arms and your hands. Relaxing your legs. Allowing yourself just to be. Breathing in, breathing out. Going down to your ankles. Relaxing your ankles. Relaxing your feet. Relaxing your toes. Breathing in, breathing out. Allowing yourself just to be in this calm space. If your mind starts to wander, know your thought. Let it go. Don't hold on to it. Breathing in, breathing out. Traveling back up your legs. Breathing in, breathing out. Notice your knees. Notice your thighs. Traveling to your stomach. Coming up to your chest. Feeling your heartbeat. Breathing in, breathing out. Up your arms to your shoulders, to your neck, back up to your eyes, and to your scalp. Feel the top of your head. Breathing in, breathing out. Let yourself feel the calm. Slowly wiggle your toes. Wiggle your fingers. Opening your eyes. Coming back to yourself. Okay, how are we? Okay,
Good.
all right. So I'm going to Florida for 2 weeks. And then I'll come back. I will try to do a class. I don't know if I'll do it while I'm in Florida. Probably not. But I will do a class when I get back. So I'll try to do the same things. Come here and then back to Pittsburgh. So, all right. We good?
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you. And thank you.
We can end.
Safe travels.
Thank you. I will try